Hey guys, welcome back into a video. So, press embargo for Sonic Frontiers has lifted, so I'm not going to go over everything. I'm going to go over a preview from Game Informer, then Eurogamer did an interview with Takahashi Iizuka, where we got information from both, so let's get into it. Let's start off with Game Informer in this preview then, shall we? Sonic Frontiers' first game I want to play since the Dreamcast. Let me save all this. I'm not going to tell you the size of Sonic's shoes, or Amy's relationship status. I don't even know who she is, besides being the pink one. I'm certainly not an expert on Sonic games, but I can tell you that Frontiers' first entry in the series I've been looking forward to since the Dreamcast. For reference, the last time he was excited to play a Sonic game, it was attached to the Dream kiosk at my local Target, and to be fair, the Orca jump in the racetrack in the adventure demo was a great reason to bug my mom for a new console. Part 2. My hands-on session begins on Ares Island, the second zone. It's a giant desert with stone roller coasters and roller coaster-like tracks scattered across the massive dunes. In other areas, floating platforms jut in the sky. These are many obstacles, popular in open zones of Frontiers, designed to test Sonic's traversal and combat. Sonic feels pleased and in control. I love using his air dash to chain together traversal combos to reach far on platforms, and the way objects in the background blur as I speed by. Importantly, I feel in control most of the time. Yeah, I'd say that's very, very important for such a fast character like Sonic. Yeah, so that is very, very important. Anyway, moving on. Well, what makes this Sonic different? Why am I so interested? It has a lot to do with the open zones. Also, Brian Shida sparked my curiosity with his Exa cover story. Agreed. One of my main gripes with past releases is that Sonic's speed often made it hard to see what's ahead. I appreciate Frontier's more extensive, open-level design because it's easy to see obstacles in the distance and adequately maneuver around them. Also, there's always a curiosity on the horizon I want to explore. As I zoom to the desert, I see an installation lurking distance. Naturally, I run into it. Suddenly, I realize this isn't a build your own another common challenge. Is it enormous boss I've awakened? So bosses could actually represent, like, buildings or whatever? Very interesting. Anyway, moving on. The mechanic being begins to launch giant discs at me. After a quick dodge, I jump atop the rings and start grinding. A trail of sparks follow my feet as I scale around the ring's circumference. I probably said that wrong. Eventually transforming the rail to pure white. Then I jump to the next, slightly higher ring and repeat the process. Sonic eventually lands on a higher, much larger set of rails, protecting the ball's vulnerable center. But now the giant machine begins firing lasers, turning the path ahead into a death trap. This marks the beginning of an incredibly cool and intense experience requiring plenty of jumps, dodges, and real switches. Dense music begins to whirl in my ears. I speed around the perimeter, jumping, dodging, switching rails as I slightly lower the Monolith's defenses. I finally activate every ring, and the defense system crashes, leaving the robot's core wide open for a flurry of attacks. As I pummel the boss's life bar down to zero, I begin to have a creepy suspicion that perhaps I've made a big mistake. Maybe Sonic games are good, actually, and I missed out on decades of fun. With little time left in my demo, my doubts are nice off into the sands. There's a lot to discover in Sonic Frontiers, and I'm just getting started. Yeah, I'd say you definitely missed out on some pretty good Sonic games. I mean, Sonic Unleashed, for example, Generations. Forces, you can pretty much just skip that one, because that's not very good, so, just saying. But, anyway, now, that's it for the Game Informer, preview. Now let's get on to the interview that Eurogamer had with Takahashi Iizuka. Let's get into it. Back in May of 2018, I remember briefly asking Shinichi Masuda, then a Pokemon dev, Game Freak, whether Pokemon might one day follow the likes of Zelda and Mario to some sort of open world format. At the time, he called a possibility, and only if the studio could find the right way to balance it. With the open world formula that was proven so successful elsewhere, it wasn't until this January, a good 4 years later, that we saw what possibility really was in Pokemon Legends. Open World-ish shows really more of a series of open areas linked together by gated coordinated progress, and then progress achieved by doing very traditional classic Pokemon things. Pokemon is barely relevant here, but that means of going sort of open might sound familiar to those with a close eye on Frontiers. It's just a knot in the thread, which we can rather neatly tie into Breath of the Wild's leap into the fully open world to Sonic this coming November, doing the same in its own new way. People do like to cut that thread mine or go further and suggest it doesn't really exist. A common point is that while these games like to market themselves the same way, we should truly with the series mascot channeling a bit of Casper David Frederick by looking at Imperials over a green mountainous world of adventure, doesn't mean all the games are the same, or that one will inspire in any meaningful way by the other. These games have fundamentally different systems and different goals. After all, in Breath of the Wild isn't influential, it just had really influential box art. I mean, yeah, Breath of the Wild was so revolutionary, it kind of, like, essentially redefine, I would say, the Legend of Zelda series as a whole. So, I mean, heck, it's getting a sequel next year, so it's obviously was very successful for a good reason. So, anyway, let's move on. Playing some Sonic Frontiers though, and speaking to your Sonic Team studio head Takahashi Iizuka, you see that where that kind of thinking goes wrong. The common thread here isn't mechanic or premise like Zelda's discovery via systematic physics or Pokemon's catching catalogs method. It's a step back, a realization that the medium as a whole has evolved, at least a little bit, and that there are some players who want to decide their own goals and discover things for themselves, some kind of openness, open world or area, or with Sonic Frontiers what the team is calling open zone. It's a natural next step, but it's the goal of all these games that tie them together, to take that next step while still keeping the series' essence intact. The essence of a great Sonic game, Iizuka says, are just how you define it. The best parts of playing it is really the fun feeling you have while moving, so when it's 2D or 3D, it's really that sense of enjoyment that I'm running with Sonic at a high speed thinking, that's fun, I'm having a great time. That to me is the essence. I completely agree with Takahashi Iizuka here on this one. I said your first name wrong, and I apologize for that. So, but yeah, I totally agree with him here. So, like, if you can like nail the control where Sonic is such a high speed, that's what makes the Sonic games so great. You know, especially the 2D ones. I'm not counting Sonic 4 in that, but you know, that's a whole different thing. So, anyway, moving on. Honestly, Sonic Frontiers looked better in this preview, but I'm sure it looked this good. Those screenshots that they were talking about. It's very clear to me that just going fast does not make it fun. You could be, you know, just running straight lines super duper fast, but it's going to get kind of boring. It's not going to feel like you're going fast, and really though, to design the course and things that you're having to do. Where you feel that speed, where you feel that fun. So regardless if it's 2D or 3D, it's that sensation, that feeling when you play with Sonic the team is really focused on. Iizuka explains the history of Sonic as with 20 years or so following the same linear game design style with the 3D linear zone Sonic Adventure in 1998, the first evolution of that, but at this point it says the team kind of felt like we were hitting a limit of what we could do, and how we could innovate on the game, and we really wanted to challenge ourselves to do something new and make something that's going to last for the next 10 plus years as a new game format. This really, that third or second, I guess, is the third kind of iteration of Sonic the Hedgehog gameplay. Yeah, I would say like just the whole boost thing, I say it kind of hit its course, you know, like, so it was getting kind of boring and repetitive after a while. I mean, I think it was especially apparent in Forests, especially because that game was a little short. You know, that's an understatement. So yeah, it was time for something new. So, you know, I'm kind of glad they're trying something new with the new open zone format. So anyway, moving on. With Frontiers, he explains that's not really what we're trying to do. That's not the intention behind the game. The open zone concept really came from, we want this new open space to exist, and inside of this open space we want Sonic to be able to do high speed action platforming, running, jumping like a playground. We want this to be an open space, not in a linear format. The purpose of the open area is completely different versus like an open world game, where we have a town on, you know, the side of the map. We want you to walk other town because some characters told you to go over there to get something. The core challenge for this for Sonic Team, about a challenge that Iizuka describes as necessary, was making that leap by having you be able to run around freely in open areas. Without losing that Sonic essence, when we talked about different games, it's really not the game telling you what to do next and providing you with the next challenge. It's creating this open area, filling it with tons of things to do. Instead of the game telling you what to do, the user is now deciding what the user wants to do next, and that was really the challenge the team needed. Some of that challenge can be felt playing Sonic Frontiers into an odd game with Sonic's traditional gameplay, probably the furthest from my natural fit out of any of the series that have made a recent leap. In Open Zone, if you're still not totally sure, it's essentially a giant level. A giant plot of land that you can roam around freely with some decidedly Sonic-y structures and bunches of enemies dotted across for you to park around at around speed, or if you prefer, totally ignore. This time I played the second zone called Ares, which is more of a desert-like biome with old, noticeably ring-themed ruins spread up with the dunes and features slightly more elaborate obstacles than the first area shown to press earlier this year. As you can see in those two screenshots, but we'll take a look at those later. As you can see. So, here we go. Now here's the next one. Your core objective was also explained a bit more explicitly. What you're trying to do is get the Chaos Emeralds out of things called the Emerald Vaults. In order to do so, you need to first defeat enemies called the Guardians. All of the Guardians, when you defeat them, will drop a portal gear. Those portal gears are wall-knocked portals, which take you to cyberspace, the 2D style linear areas you have already heard about. In cyberspace, there are different challenges, and completing the vault challenge will get you a vault key, which you can use to unlock a vault and get a chaos summon on to the next. This is a process I've seen convoluted to the point of Byzantine, but it's actually a bit more simple. You defeat a boss to unlock a more traditional Sonic course to unlock the next one. It's like that much with Sonic Frontiers, it seems. Dropping to the game's second level, you're assaulted with icons and collectibles, select kind of rings, orbs, gems, fragment seed. You're told to help free Tails or reach a new area, or in the case of the Deep Blue Breath of the Wild like Starfall events, which turn the odd nighttime into a blood moon. Uh-oh. I'm getting PTSD from that. Uh-oh. You'll need to sprint about collecting star fragments to spin the keys of some kind of abstract fruit machine since it's awkwardly across the middle of the screen. A quick note on characters shadow appear in the game? No. Will you always play Sonic? Yes, you will always play as Sonic. Sorry, Shadow Bros. Hate to disappoint you, but yeah, it's unfortunate. But hey, I mean, as you can tell by the Steam listing in the last video we talked about, we know what the game when the trailer came out. I mean, there is going to be free and paid DLC, so I mean, realistically, Shadow still has a chance. I wouldn't, kind of be all Debbie Downer, but hey, I'd kind of rather have him not be in the game and have the story be written well, and basically, I would rather have characters like be in the game that are actually important into the story, not someone just shoehorned in there, like previous games have. So I think it's for the best. If they were to bring him in through DLC, like dedicated DLC or whatnot, hey, at least he'll get a focus. So, but hey, there might be light at the end of the tunnel. Who knows? So, but yeah, in terms of the meta game, yeah, he's not going to be there. But hey, I was totally wrong on that one. So that was definitely a surprise there. Anyway, moving on. There are also things to collect that let you level up, unlocking new moves for combat, or the ability to change more elaborate combos together, and all this comes back to your main job, which is to run around the world following whatever twinkling pink ball platform catches your eye. These little courses are fun and very reminiscent of Sonic Adventure, but also oddly passive, effectively asking you to tap the odd jump or dash button at the right time, while you catapult across the sky. That combat, meanwhile, is fine for the moment, though not sweeping me off my feet just yet. Likely because real enjoyment will come with chain of movement attack combos with a type of fluidity I've neither mastered or unlocked. My opening boss fight was really quite simple. Do a quick passive platforming course up to its eye level to fight it, where you'll have to hop between 3 rails surrounded, avoiding attacks long enough to fully trace a path around the entirety of each loop, then spend a few seconds kicking it in the face. The main challenge isn't mechanically so much as one clarity. Depth perception is an issue, especially once the final stage kicks in. It took a lot of squinting and already closed issue to discover hazards that were equally hopping between adjacent rails themselves, follow me between them, and that it could simply tap jump to avoid them. Depth is a similar issue for the Cyber Zone, which is unlocked after defeating this boss and pinging around in the course of air pinball to a special obelisk. There's been some chat about these zones we used in old levels, which took us quite keen to clarify. Cyberspace zones are what describes the digital expression of the worlds and the memories. So when you go to the port, it says it's a world that created for Sonic memories, the place that he's been to, like Sky Sanctuary, Green Hill, and so on. Cyberspace is creating a world based off of his memories. Yeah, so it sounds like these cyberspace levels, in terms of like them reusing old levels, it actually kind of makes sense from a storyline perspective. Once we actually, like, there's been images of some of them. We'll kind of go over those later, so and you'll see what kind of a Takashi Iizuka means. So anyway, moving on. We want to kind of reuse those memories like the memories we have because we played the games, but the team is doing it intentionally to kind of poke at those little points that some players are good to pick up on immediately. Like, I remember this exactly, and we are making levels that maybe look different, but feel the same as other things you have experienced. There's going to be a mix of those very intentionally nostalgic or familiar areas, but there will also be some brand new things nobody's ever seen before. See? So it sounds like they're taking the Sonic Media approach. Okay, I like that. That's great. I love it. Anyway, familiar or not, these can be a bit of a struggle, with Sonic Team's dash, going remarkably far and rendering him impossible to maneuver in the air, to the point where it's hard to travel at any kind of speed at all. That's likely at least part of the goal here. High-speed travel is as much a reward in Sonic as it is in the way to earn it, but it's one that felt entirely beyond me in the 20 odd minutes I had with the game. It's another reminder that Sonic Frontiers has been a challenge to make, but clearly a welcome one too. That comment, for instance, was described as a dilemma when an interesting one. I wanted to have more things that Sonic can do, more attacks Sonic can have, but when you start making Sonic kind of stop and attack enemies, you're defeating the whole high-speed action. I need to race to the finish line kind of concept. And that's kind of what the problem, the difficulty we're in putting the combat system. If you put it in, you're kind of stopping the game, but if you don't put it in, the enemies just tend to become objects to get in your way that are stopping you from reaching your goal. So it sounds like they kind of had to find a unique balance, it seems like, so, but hey, it is kind of what it is, but hey, if the combat is fun, I think that's all that really matters at the end of the day. So to finally finish up this interview, if another reminder that Sonic Frontiers challenge has been a welcome one. That combat, I just read that. So it's really a question of, are we going to put in a comment which we wanted to do? Could we do it? The answer is that we came up in the open zone format because you're now free to do whatever you want. You're on an island looking for things to do. In other words, engaging content is something that we want to provide, but if you're going to provide enemies, you're going to make sure it's fun. And that's really what you think. Well, now we need to put in a combat system so we can have people want to engage them, defeat them, enjoy it, and then we're going to do whatever they want to do. Next, it's not unfair to say that some of that tension is still present, but the upside it makes for a decidedly curious game, something new, if nothing else, a game that's taken the leap to an open format, like plenty of other long-running, previously linear series have done it before, but one that's also doing it very much its own way, just like its fellow mascots have done too. So it sounds like they're really taking kind of this whole open zone format seriously, and they wanted to, essentially be kind of the core focus for the series going forward. And hey, I hope they land it. So because I'm really hoping for this game, man. I'm really hyped for this game. So yeah, guess we'll find out in November. But also, before we go, we actually have both screenshots and a new gameplay video as well. So let's get to the screenshots first, then, shall we? Here's this one. Looks like where Sonic has taken on some kind of new boss. Looks like some kind of dragon or something. Looks kind of cool, I would say. Seems like you gotta dodge those shots to get to it, and then eventually perform an attack, it seems like. Anyway, let's move on to the next one. So we got this one where he's in the new desert biome. So nothing really to see here, as he's just racing along. Looks like some kind of these panels. So nothing really much to see here. Anyway, we actually see some structure in the background, like a rail. It looks like one of those loops in the background too. Anyway, moving on. Now it looks like we're about to approach a boss battle in this one. Some kind of giant tower. So it's really huge, I would say so. But wow, Anyway, move on to the next one. So we got this one, like we're seeing in one of the screenshots I showed in the article. Looks like he's approaching some kind of new enemy design. Looks like using one, that move that we've kind of seen before. I forgot what the name of it is. Not like it really matters, but I'm sure I'll probably think of it later. Watch. Here, anyway, moving on. Ooh, now we've seen what the biome actually looks like at night. And man, those glowing cactuses, that looks really cool. Kind of like show up like a little light besides the obvious moon. So, really gorgeous, man, this game is, that's for sure. Anyway, next one. So it seems we got, there's like that pyramid in the sky. And there's also like some structures in the background, like those hoops or whatnot. So yeah, like, it's definitely foreign, these new structures are. It looks like there's a cyberspace gate right in the middle of that pond thing or whatever that is supposed to be, But anyway, moving on. And looks like this pose kind of looks like something out of the adventure game, out of Sonic Adventure 1. So I say that's a kind of a nice little callback, at least in this shot anyway. So really cool. And this one looks like Sonic has taken on, essentially, looks like a new boss battle in this, I guess, some kind of arena thing. I'm liking the variety of the enemy designs here. It seems like in each new island there's actually new designs of enemies to fight. That's good. That's actually, kind of make sure that the combat isn't so boring, if that makes sense. So where it doesn't seem repetitive. So I think that's great. I love it. So in this one, we can take a look at the Chemical Plant Cyberspace stage. So yeah, so it seems like using stages from before, obviously, like we've seen before, like in Generations. I'm not sure if I can't remember if Chemical Plant was a forest or not. I can't remember. It might have been, and I'm just not thinking of it. Anyway, doesn't matter, but yeah, here you go. Here's an example of the cyberspace stage. Next up, we have seems like a new look at this desert area. And this was, before I started making this video, I actually discovered where that structure in the middle, in the background of this screenshot, that's actually a boss. Not just a regular structure. That's an actual legitimate boss battle. I'm gonna assume that somehow maybe you have to kind of get it to essentially not cover that thing in the center, and maybe that's how you take it out. So that could be a strategy you have to use to take it down. But hey, we'll see. Pretty cool. That there seems to be a variety in boss battles too. Really cool. I like that. Next up, we have looks like an Elder Koroko in the first biome, which is that Breath of the Wild like one we've seen plenty of times. So yeah, I'd say that's an Elder, just based on like the long beard, the facial features that it has. You kind of get the idea. So here we go. We have a new look at Sage in the desert area. I'm guessing just based on the screenshot, it seems that's gonna be kind of like how a new boss battle opens up. Maybe that's where that boss battle we've seen before comes up. Who knows? So we'll see. Anyway, moving on. Oh, we got some example of the Kuros. In a later interview, actually, Izuka says they're actually important. These little guys are important to the story. So, and he didn't want to go into specifics because they want to keep it a mystery. So hey, I guess we'll wait and see, because it seems like they're pretty important in terms of the Starfall Island. So, well, I'm gonna assume that Chronos Island won't be the first time. The first only island we'll see these guys. Anyway, moving up, and as you can see, this is Sky Sanctuary, but look at the design. This is actually even though the level is Sky Sanctuary, it's actually based on freaking Dragon Road from Sonic Unleashed. So not only are they using like the kind of like environments of like past levels, there's actually, believe it or not, freaking, they're actually kind of using level design from games that weren't even from Generations. So that's kind of like really cool. Even though they're older levels, they're actually still kind of taking. So it seems like maybe Sonic's memories are corrupted. Maybe that's why. As you can see in like that little thingy over there, that's actually an enemy from Chemical Plant in Sonic 2. So it's like a mishmash of Sonic's memories from previous games. So it's not just them simply reusing like Generations levels. They're actually mishmashing elements from older games into like levels like Sky Sanctuary to kind of make them feel fresh and new. Kind of attempt to make them feel fresh and new. So hey, you know what? That's actually pretty cool. I like that. I like that idea. So before we kind of end this video, there's actually there's a 3-minute gameplay video of new gameplay I want to show you. I have to give a shout out to Sonic Paradise, who put all the gameplay clips from the previews that we've seen and put them all together into one video. So I've got to give a shout out to them. I'll post their channel down in the description so you can check them out for yourselves. Without further ado, let's get to the gameplay then, shall we? as y'all can see, most of it's on combat, especially kind of like giving more into gameplay on how the second world looks. So, so it makes me kind of wonder what the other three are. I would not be surprised if one of them is like a snowy one, because that's like usually a tradition with the Sonic series, so I would be surprised if there isn't one. It's not a deal breaker for me really, but I just would be surprised if there isn't. So, anyway, maybe for a final one, maybe like a lava one. That'll probably be another one, most likely. That's another tradition of Sonic, usually. So, as for like the last one, who knows? Surprise me. So, hey, maybe tech themed. Who knows? Who knows at the end of the day. So, yeah. So yeah, that's basically all the information. Again, this isn't even everything, so, I mean, there was plenty of it, so, this video is already nearly 30 minutes at this point, so, kind of end it off here. What do you guys think? Are you even more interested in the game than you were previously, or are you still not completely sold on the game? Let me know down in the comment section below, and if you liked this video and really enjoyed the video, please hit the like button on the way out, and consider subbing to the channel so you do not miss out on any more videos, and I will see you all in the next one. Have a good one.